Hello everyone. So in my last video I explained about cross pollination and the conditions or the agents of cross pollination. Okay, so cross pollination is nothing but it's a transfer of pollen grains from anther to receptive stigma of a different flower. So there it requires mainly the agents. The agents may be abiotic agents or it may be biotic agents. Abiotic agents of cross pollination is mainly the wind and the water. The pollination by wind is known as anemophily. I explained about the features of wind pollinating flowers. So like the flowers should be smaller or inconspicuous, they should grow in cluster, they always born in cluster, they bear numerous amount of pollen grains or large number of pollen grains. Pollen grains are lighter, they are dry and they are non-sticky. Stigma will be feathery or it may be hairy stigma, so to capture the pollen grains, and the ovaries with only one ovule. The reason behind why the ovaries of anemophilous flowers or the wind pollinating flowers they bear only one ovule is, so you know that all pollination that doesn't bring the pollen grains on the compatible stigma or on the suitable stigma, or all pollinations are not successful. So when it comes to wind pollination, so the wind will carry different kinds of pollen grains. Not only one specific type of pollen grain is carried in the wind. So there are many varieties of pollen grains and other things that are carried by the wind. So wind pollination is actually accidental. Means it may bring about some undesired pollen grains on the stigma. ಸೊ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ದು ಪೋಲನ್ ಗ್ರೇನ್ಸ್ ಬಂದು ಸ್ಟಿಗ್ಮಾ ಮೇಲೆ ಫಾಲ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೋಲನ್ ಗ್ರೇನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟಿಗ್ಮಾ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಿದ್ದಿರೋಂಥದ್ದು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಲೆಸ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೋಲನ್ ಗ್ರೇನ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಫಾಲನ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಸ್ಟಿಗ್ಮಾ. That's why wind pollinating flowers they produce more number of pollen grains, because wastage of pollen grain is more in wind pollinating flowers. As wind moves along, the pollen grains also blows in the wind, so they may fall on the stigma, they may fall somewhere else. So in such conditions, when ovary that bears only one ovule, one pollen grain is sufficient to pollinate or is sufficient to fertilize that ovule found in the ovary. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಓವರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಓವ್ಯೂಲ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಒಂದೇ ಪೋಲನ್ ಗ್ರೇನ್ ಬಂದು ಸ್ಟಿಗ್ಮಾ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಿದ್ದರೂ ಸಾಕು, ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಆದರೆ ಸಾಕು. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ದಟ್ ಪೋಲನ್ ಗ್ರೇನ್ ಈಸ್ ಫರ್ಟೈಲ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ಕಂಪ್ಯಾಟಿಬಲ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸ್ ದ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಓವ್ಯೂಲ್ ಫೌಂಡ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಓವರಿ. ದೇರ್ ಬೈ ದ ಸೀಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ in such plants, especially the wind pollinating plants. That's why they bear only one ovule inside the ovary. As pollination by wind is purely a chance factor that does not carry the desirable pollen grains, it may also carry the undesirable pollen grains. So there may be many types of pollen grains will fall on the stigma. Only the desirable or the compatible pollen grain will germinate on the stigma, and that produces a pollen tube, releases male gametes inside the embryo sac, so where it fertilizes the ovule. So when ovary that bears many number of ovules, in such cases all ovules may not be fertilized, hence the ovules may be produce abortive seeds, or seeds may not be produced by such ovules. So when it bears only one ovule, so definitely there may be a chance factor that if one pollen grain fallen on the stigma, if it germinates, that can fertilize as the single ovule found inside the ovary. Definitely there will be a seed setting in such plants. So that is the reason behind why wind pollinating flowers bears only one ovule within an ovary. So and I also explained the difference between the geitonogamy and the xenogamy. So geitonogamy, where pollen grains are transferred from the anther to the receptive stigma of a different flower located on the same plant. So this also needs agents for the transfer of pollen grain. So but geitonogamy is genetically nothing but the self-pollination. So on the other hand, xenogamy is a true cross-pollination, because pollen grains from one plant, anthers of one flower, get transferred to the stigma of another flower located on the different plant. So here two plants are required, two plants are involved in xenogamy, so that brings about genetical variability or variations. That's why xenogamy is said to be the true cross pollination, whereas geitonogamy that doesn't brings about variations as the pollen grains are coming from the same plant. So xenogamy is a true cross pollination because that can brings variation in the plants or in the progeny which are produced after the fertilization and after the development of the seed. So that's why xenogamy is considered as the true cross pollination. Okay. So I explained about the agents of pollination. So like abiotic agents as well as the biotic agents. Abiotic agents are mainly the wind and the water. And the biotic agents, there are different categories in biotic agents, mainly the animals. It may be the insects, it may be birds, or it may be the bats or snails, and even the mammals also, very rarely human beings also. So these are the agents which are involved in pollination. Okay, so up to here I explained in the last video. So today I am going to explain about one of the important concepts, that is outbreeding devices in plants or contrivances for cross pollination. So this is very important. So in your examination the question may be asked for 5 marks. Write a note on outbreeding devices of plants or explain contrivances for cross pollination. Andre cross pollination ಆಗಬೇಕು plants ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನೇನು mechanisms ಇರುತ್ತೆ plants ಅಲ್ಲಿ, or what are the adaptations which are found in the plants to achieve cross pollination. So no doubt when flowers are unisexual, cross pollination is the only option. Okay, so in such cases the plants need not to modify or need not to bear some special structures when there is an unisexuality. So no doubt there should be cross pollination is the only option in such species. But when plants are bisexual, when flower is bisexual, it means it bears both androecium and gynoecium. In order to avoid self-pollination or in order to promote cross-pollination, the plant or the flower that has to bear some special structures, or it has to modify itself, or it shows some mechanisms to avoid self-pollination and to achieve the cross-pollination. I think you come to know. So the mechanisms which can bring about cross-pollination and that can avoid self-pollination, those mechanisms or devices in plants or in flowers which are together called as outbreeding devices, or all collectively called as contrivances for cross-pollination. See students, especially these mechanisms in plants, they are evolved mainly to achieve cross-pollination. So in a bisexual species or in a bisexual flower, the flowers can develop various structures, or they may modify, they may adapt, they show some mechanisms mainly to avoid self-pollination. Because one of the major drawback of self-pollination is inbreeding depression. You know that the continuous self-pollination that results in inbreeding depression. So that is one of the major drawback, and the plant do not get any type of variations. Okay, so in order to overcome inbreeding depression, or in order to get variation, for the better survival ability in the nature, the plants have adapted these mechanisms. It means to achieve the cross pollination. So they were collectively called as outbreeding devices or contrivances for cross pollination. Okay, so outbreeding devices, they are nothing but the mechanisms or the devices. So they are the mechanisms, so where the plants will promote cross pollination and it will avoid self pollination. So collectively those mechanisms or adaptations are the structures which are found in the flower. So they are collectively known as outbreeding devices. Okay, so this is one of the basic idea or the mechanisms found in the plants to achieve cross pollination. So among that, the first one is dicliny. So dicliny is nothing but unisexuality. Dicliny is nothing but the unisexuality. It means the flower either it bear the stamen or it bear the pistil only. So that is, the flowers are unisexual, either with a male reproductive organ or with a female reproductive organ. So that condition is what is called as dicliny. It means the male and female flowers are separate. The staminate and pistillate flowers are beared in a plant body. So that condition is what is called as dicliny. Dicliny is nothing but the unisexuality. It means a flower that bears only either the stamens, such flowers are said to be staminate flowers, or it may bear only the pistil, such flowers are said to be pistillate flowers. So that condition is what is called as dicliny. So here we observe some of the plants or some of the species of angiosperms where male and female flowers are separate, and they develops on the same plant body. Both the male flower as well as the female flowers, they were found on the same plant. In some of the angiosperms, male and female flowers, they develop in two separate plants, whereas male plant is separate and whereas female plant is separate. So I will give an example for the first condition. So male and female flowers are separate, but they are found on the same plant. So for example, we observe this in Cucurbitaceae members, okay, like pumpkin or other members of Cucurbitaceae. So where male flower is separate and female flower is separate. So no doubt flowers are unisexual, but they are developed in the same plant. The condition is what is called as monoecious or monoecious. So both the male and female plant flowers, they are found in the same plant. In case of Cucurbitaceae as well as in case of the palms. So like coconut. So in such condition, in this plant also we can observe this one. So in this condition, when male and female flowers develops in the same plant, there will be a chances of geitonogamy also. In this condition, there will be a chances of geitonogamy also, because male flower is also found in the same plant and female flower is also found in the same plant. So there will be a chances of geitonogamy also, and also the cross pollination. Okay, it is nothing but the xenogamy also. So but there are chances of geitonogamy andre genetically similar iranta offsprings baranta chances irutte ee condition alli. Second condition, that is the male plant is separate and female plant is separate. The male plant that bears only the staminate flowers and the female plant that is purely that bears the pistillate flowers only. So when two plants are separate, or the male and female sex organs, they develops in two separate plants. So the such condition in observed in papaya. So I explained in last video. So the question may be asked about why papaya exhibits xenogamy only. So you know that xenogamy is a true cross pollination. When male plant is separate and female plant is separate, no chances of geitonogamy in this condition. That's why xenogamy is considered as a true cross pollination, and papaya that exhibits xenogamy only, that is observed in Carica papaya as well as in date palm. So where male plant is separate and female plant is separate, the pollen grain has to transfer from male plant to female plant through the agencies only. Either whatever it may be the agency, whether it may be the biotic agency or it may be the abiotic agency, through the agencies only the pollen grains has to be carried. Okay, so that's why it is said to be true cross pollination or xenogamy, and even it is observed in Morus alba, papaya, Morus alba as well as in date palm. So where we observe xenogamy, where male plants as well as the female plants which are separate. So that condition is what is called as dicliny, or it is otherwise called as unisexuality. Okay. And the next one, dichogamy. Dichogamy is a condition where maturation of androecium and gynoecium is at different times. Maturation of androecium and gynoecium is at different times. See, I explained a condition called as homogamy while I am explaining self-pollination. So where I stated that both the male and female reproductive structures, the androecium as well as the gynoecium, they mature at the same time. So that is in order to achieve self-pollination. That is contrivances for self-pollination. I explained like homogamy, chasmogamy, cleistogamy. Okay, so that is in order to achieve self-pollination. But when it comes to cross-pollination, though the flowers are bisexual, so this is not the case in case of dicliny. But whereas in these conditions, we'll see in bisexual flowers, the dichogamy, hercogamy, heterostyly, self-incompatibility and self-sterility. So these were observed in bisexual flowers. If a flower is bisexual, the plant wants to avoid self-pollination or in order to achieve cross-pollination, where it develops a condition, a mechanism called as dichogamy, the condition where the maturation of androecium and gynoecium is at different times. That is what is called as dichogamy. So where in dichogamy, either the androecium may matures first or the gynoecium may matures first. Okay. So what is dichogamy? This is a condition where there is no synchronization between the maturation of the androecium or the gynoecium when the flower is bisexual. Sometimes in some of the flowers the androecium may matures first before the ripening of the pistil or before the maturation of the gynoecium. So the anthers will dehisce and the pollen grains are released even before the maturation of the stigma or even the pistil. So in some of the plants, before the dehiscence of the anther, the stigma that matures first or the pistil that matures first. So that condition is called as dichogamy. So in this we refer the two terms. One is protogyny, and another one is protandry. One is protogyny, another one is protandry. So protogyny is nothing but it's a maturation of gynoecium before the maturation of the androecium. It means in some flowers, the gynoecium that ripes early or it matures early before the maturation of the androecium. So that condition is what is called as protogyny, and this can be seen in plants like pearl millet. This can be seen in plants like pearl millet. So where we can observe the condition what is called as protogyny. And even in wheat also. Plants like wheat also. So whereas the second condition, what is called as protandry, so it is the reverse of what is called as protogyny. Means the maturation of androecium before the maturation of gynoecium, or androecium matures first prior to the maturation of gynoecium. So that is what is called as protandry. See here, for a successful pollination and for a successful seed setting, there should be a synchronization between the maturation of the anther as well as the maturation of the gynoecium. Okay, the stigma should be receptive at the time. By the meantime, the pollens will fall on the stigma. So the receptivity of the stigma is very, very important. Okay, so but when the plants wants to achieve cross pollination, when flowers are bisexual, so the plants will develop these mechanisms. So I am explaining that the protogyny as well as the protandry. So in protandry, the androecium that matures first before the maturation of the gynoecium. So this can also avoid self-pollination, because when anther dehisces, when pollen falls on the stigma is not receptive. In first condition, the gynoecium that matures very early, even still the pollen grains are forming within the anther. In such conditions also, the self-pollination is not possible, and in the second one also the self-pollination is not possible. So where the plant is moving towards to achieve the cross-pollination. So the next one is protandry. So where it can be observed in plants like clerodendron, then abelmoschus, clerodendron, and plants like maize. So where we can observe protandry. It means maturation of androecium before the maturation of gynoecium. Okay. The next one, hercogamy. So hercogamy is nothing but it's a condition where the spatial separation of the androecium and the gynoecium, or it may be the development of some physical barriers to avoid self-pollination, or the spacious separation of the androecium and gynoecium to avoid self-pollination or to promote cross-pollination. So that is what is called as hercogamy. So in this condition, there are some physical barriers which are developed in the flower that will avoid self-pollination or that will promote cross-pollination. So that condition is what is called as hercogamy, development of physical barriers, a spacious separation of the androecium as well as the gynoecium. So whereas in case of hercogamy, we can observe the examples like in plant called as iris. In a plant called as iris, there may be a development of hood-like structures over the stigma. In a flower iris, there will be development of hood over the stigma, so that will prevent the falling of its self-pollen grains on the stigma. Okay, only the cross-pollination is an option. So where it develops hood-like structures on the stigma. Similarly, in plants like alfalfa, so where the presence of a hyaline membrane, that covers the stamens. So that can also avoid self-pollination. This is also a kind of physical barrier that can avoid self-pollination. So that is what is called as hercogamy, means development of physical barriers to avoid self-pollination in order to achieve cross-pollination is called as hercogamy. Okay. And the next condition, heterostyle. So as the name itself indicates, some of the flowers, they show differences in the length of the filament of the stamens as well as difference in the length of the style. Some flowers, they bear very lengthy stamens, whereas style will be very short. And some of the flowers, they bear very lengthy styles and stamens will be very short. So there is a difference among this. Okay, you can observe. So when stigma, the style will be very long. It carries the stigma away from the anthers. So and the anthers are, the filaments of the anthers will be short. I think you can observe here. The filaments of the anthers will be short. The style will be very long and stigma is carried away from the anthers. So this condition where it can avoid self-pollination, it avoids the falling of pollen grains of the same flower on the stigma, it strictly avoids. So where there is a spacious separation between them, the stigma as well as the anthers, because of the length of the style. So this is one condition, heterostyle, means difference in the length of the stamens as well as in the difference in the length of the style. So that can avoid self-pollination. So in the other condition, so where the stamens are very long, the stamens are very long and carrying the anther lobes away. The filaments of the stamens are very long and that can carry the anther lobes away from the stigma, and the style is short. And the style is short. So this condition is also heterostyle. So where there is a difference in the length of the filaments of the stamens as well as in the length of the style. So here the style is short. In first condition the style is very long and the filaments of the stamens are short. In the second condition the style is short and whereas the filaments of the stamens are very long. So here this can also avoid self-pollination. When the anther dehisces, the pollens will fall away from the stigma. It doesn't fall on the stigma. So this is also the mechanism in order to avoid the self-pollination. And this can be seen in oxalis, in plants called as oxalis, as well as can seen in clerodendron inerme, and even in plants Gloriosa superba. So in this plant, in Gloriosa superba, so where the flowers bears exerted stamens, it means the stamens are away from the stigma, they are facing away from the stigma. So that is called as Gloriosa superba. And in plants like Caparis spinosa, so where we can observe this condition, what is called as heterostyle. Okay. So the next one is self-incompatibility. See, this is a condition that may be regulated by the genes, or even it may be regulated by the sporophytic tissue. It means there are two types, genetic incompatibility and sporophytic incompatibility. Okay. So here self-incompatibility means a condition where the fertile pollen grains unable to fertilize the pistil or the ovules of the same flower. Repeating, the fertile stamens or the functional stamens or the functional pollen grains. Functional pollen grains were unable to fertilize the ovule of the same flower. So why this has to be developed? Again, this is a modification was observed in a plant to achieve cross-pollination, or that is nothing but the xenogamy. So if both the androecium and gynoecium develops in the same flower, even if they mature at the same time, it means in bisexual flowers, the plant has adapted a mechanism that is called self-incompatibility, where though the pollen grains are fertile, they were able to fertilize an ovule, though they are fertile, where they were unable to fertilize the ovules of the same flower, because these pollen grains are incompatible to that same flower. They may compatible, they may fertilize as another flower, okay, but they cannot fertilize the same flower. That's why it is said to be self-incompatibility. The stigma will rejects. So I will explain later in pollen pistil interaction, how pollen grains and the pistil will interact. So in such cases, there will be a rejection reaction is observed. The pollens of the same flower are rejected to fertilize or to germinate on the stigma, so that whereby it can avoid self-pollination, though pollen grains are fertile. Okay. And the next one, self-sterility. So self-incompatibility, it was observed in plants like Brassica. Plants like Brassica as well as radish, and in Nicotiana. Nicotiana is nothing but tobacco. Nicotiana, tobacco. So they were the examples for, some examples for self-incompatibility. Brassica, radish and Nicotiana. And the last one called as self-sterility. So self-sterility is nothing but a condition where the pollen grains of the same flower, so they were unable to fertilize the ovule. So they were sterile, or a condition where the plants or the flowers that can produce non-functional pollen grains. If the flower is bisexual, sometimes some of the species they produce non-functional pollen grain. There is a slight difference between self-incompatibility and self-sterility. In self-incompatibility, though pollen grains are functional, they were unable to fertilize the ovules of the same flower. Whereas in case of self-sterility, the plant body that is making its own pollen grains or making its own anthers sterile, or the pollen grains becomes non-functional in such cases, in order to avoid self-pollination. That is what is called as self-sterility. So this can be observed in sorghum. This can be observed in sorghum, in maize as well as in Nicotiana. In maize as well as in Nicotiana. So condition where pollen grains of the same flower, they were sterile, they were non-functional, or it produces the non-functional pollen grains. It may be because of genetic reasons, it means the genes found in the plant body, or it may be because of the sporophytic reason. Okay, so the reasons may be different. So where the plant produces non-functional pollen grain, that is called as self-sterility. So in this condition also, cross-pollination is the only option. The pollen grains has to come from the another flower. So these are the mechanisms, different devices which are adapted or developed in plants to avoid self-pollination and to promote cross-pollination. They were collectively called as outbreeding devices, or it is also known as contrivances for cross-pollination. This will be asked for 5 marks, okay, repeatedly in many years, where explain or write a note on outbreeding devices in plants, or explain contrivances for cross-pollination. So among that, the first one, dicliny. Dicliny is nothing but unisexuality. I explained that in unisexuality, both male and female flowers, they may be found on the same plant or may be found on the different plant. If they found on the same plant, there may be chances of deuteronogamy. If they are found in different plant, only the chances of xenogamy is observed. So another condition, dichogamy. So where maturation of androecium and gynoecium is at different times. In that, one is protogyny and another one is protandry. If gynoecium matures first before the androecium, it is protogyny. And protandry, if androecium matures first before the maturation of the gynoecium, this is called as protandry. Then hercogamy. So the development of some physical structures or physical barriers to avoid self-pollination. So that condition is what is called as hercogamy. Then heterostyly. So differences in the length of the filament of the stamens as well as in the length of the style. So that is what is called as heterostyly. In some cases, the length of the filaments of the stamens will be very long and style will be short. In some of these species, the length of the style will be very long and the stamens will be very short. So that can avoid self-pollination. So self-incompatibility, though the functional pollen grains are produced, those pollen grains are unable to fertilize or unable to germinate on the stigma of the same flower. The stigma rejects such pollen grains. That is what is called as self-incompatibility. Self-sterility so means a condition where the flowers that produce non-functional pollen grains to avoid self-pollination. So that is what is called as self-sterility. So all these together called as outbreeding devices. Okay, so I will explain pollen pistil interaction in the next class. Okay, thank you.